Good morning, Lafayette. I'm your meteorologist, Brian Burden, your local forecaster. I have been here since, 1997? I've been forecasting weather in the Lafayette area off and on through that entire period. It sounds like I might be the old guy on the block right now. That's 30 years ago already, isn't it? Woo, that's a long time ago for sure. We are going to be looking at some weather for the local Lafayette area today. I only look at Lafayette pretty much anymore. It's kind of the only place I focus. Doesn't mean I can't do weather anywhere else because I have forecast weather for the entire planet at one time or another, either in the military, for United States Antarctic program, here in Lafayette, for the government in different places. And no, I can't tell you I'd have to kill you, right? What? You guys, a lot of you know my story. I've been to Antarctica a bunch of times, worked for the Antarctic program down there, and was able to do a lot of stuff there, forecasted for all the continents and just different places throughout my life as a weatherman, as a meteorologist, and been called many names. Mostly good ones. That's the good news. And what we're going to hear about yesterday was what a gorgeous, beautiful day it was, and I was called such a great person. Today, maybe not so much as we won't be as warm. That's the big deal today. Not quite as warm as it has been. Matter of fact, we probably already set the high for today, and that was back at about 1 o'clock this morning when it was about 64, 65 degrees. As the rains were coming through and pushing through, and then as they headed towards the south, they chilled us off this morning. Yet here we are; it's 59 degrees currently. Matter of fact, let's go right to those temperatures, and I'll show them to you here real quick here. And it's 59 degrees outside. The normal low for this time of the year is 50 on this date, so we're 9 degrees above. So it actually feels kind of warm this morning. That's why I kind of put on one of the monikers. And one of the labels, warm this morning, chilly this afternoon. Well, it's going to warm up just a little bit this afternoon, but we're only going to get back to maybe that high that we saw around midnight or so. But 60, low 60s is about it for this afternoon. We're also going to mix in a mixture of some clouds and some sunshine off and on throughout the day. Sun here real quick early this morning, then we got some clouds moving in from the north, and that'll be the mix that'll be here for the rest of the day. And then a chilly tomorrow morning definitely is on tap for us. The normal lows, like I said, should be about 50. We may be in the upper 30s tomorrow. There are last 30s possibly. It seems like yesterday we had 2 or 3 left potential there. But no real frost expected at this point, except in northeastern Indiana over towards Fort Wayne. They could see some frost on the pane. Now, I saw somebody who put that out about 3 days ago for tomorrow morning. We'll have to see. We'll check those numbers out when we get to them. But currently 59, heading back maybe to 63, give or take a degree or two. And we've been as high as 64 or 5 early this morning. So that's about it. Matter of fact, then our low for the actual day may come before midnight tonight. Look at this. Around 10 o'clock tonight, it'll be 53. So let's say if at midnight it's 49, the actual low for today may be 49. I think what this is saying here is when I look at this, I had to really think about this. Why is 39 on there? That's not the low for today. It's the low for the next 24 hours, I think is what it's getting me here. And that would be 39 tomorrow morning, okay? So that is where we're shooting for. Rough estimate, upper 30s somewhere for tomorrow morning. So that's what you're seeing on this. Winds out of the northwest at 7 miles an hour. That means it probably feels more like about 52 out there, I would say. Definitely, if you've got at least a little wind, it's not too bad. 7 miles an hour is not much of a wind when we think meteorologically, but when we're talking about wind chills, it takes it away from you right away. Still, 59 in the morning hours here in the month of May is usually a warm morning. All right, so let's take a look at what's happened and what happened overnight last night, and we take a look at the big picture. First off, and what we see is over the eastern half of the United States is one low pressure system up into Canada, a system exiting off the coast that just transited across in the last 2 days from East Texas, western Louisiana, across through the lowlands there of Mississippi and Alabama and into Florida, and now going out off the East Coast. and being pressed out. The high that was over us yesterday has squeezed itself back out off the east coast. And then now there's a big high over the central plains right now, looking really good there. And then you notice the clouds rotating down towards Indiana, and Lafayette being right about here. So those clouds are not that far away. Angles are so much that we may be in and out of clouds off and on all day kind of thing, especially the farther north you go, the more clouds you'll see. The farther south you go, the less you'll generally see in the local area. And you can probably go west to east with that too. Out near the state line, maybe not as much cloud cover as they'll see over in Kokomo kind of thing. That's the kind of gist you'll get from today. As this system starts to exit out of the area, it's rotating the clouds down and around. And I think yesterday I kind of drew on some of the maps a circular area around this where there could be some cloud cover. And there could be actually a sprinkle or two in there, right? Remember I talked about that, some drizzly kind of looky feel here or there at times, or just a very light rain shower is a possibility out of some of this stuff. Nothing major here on the front here. It's not going to stop anything, but just an annoyance shower more than anything else, or a drizzle here or there. Meanwhile, looking great over the plains and then back out off the west coast. A pretty decent storm coming in over Seattle. Let's zoom in a little bit here. Let's go into a regional sector here and see what it looks like over the Midwest a little bit more. And we can see the clouds coming in Lafayette right about here. There's the system and the rain that went through last night. I'm not sure how many of you heard some thunder or did not hear some thunder. I didn't hear anything, but I think I just slept through it. That means there wasn't much to it. We weren't expecting a lot other than a couple claps of thunder here or there, really. The severe portion of it, potential, was back down towards our southwest. That's where the best chances were. We had a chance for some wind with some gustiness in it overnight, but not a lot really came of the system as it moved through. Other than it dropped some rain and we had some claps of thunder, generally speaking, a couple isolated spots. And then you got a big high-pressure system setting up over the plains. It'll be moving into our area in the next couple of days. All right, so that's where we are looking, at least on that front. And then I wanted to go all the way into the subsectors. Let's see how close we can get in here. Look at this. We're coming in a little bit closer. We can see the clouds coming down and off the lake. And again, this is an infrared shot. Remember, taking a picture of the temperature of the clouds, not the actual cloud itself. But we do want to see what it looks like on the visual, and there you go. You can see that pretty easily. I see streaks of Q back up here to the north. I see a big band of clouds that's more of a stratiform type. You can see the edges are just non-uniform, really, at all. And you can see some clumps in here. That's your cumulus clouds. You see the streaks of those up to the north. You see some streaks of those behind the system. But what do I see? I see the flow coming this way and then trying to make a turn this way, which means, generally speaking, more clouds to the north, less to the south, more clouds to the east, less clouds to the west, right? So what does this do back here later? Maybe there's a couple little spurts of those, some sprinkles in here or there is a possibility. Because the flow is coming straight down the lake, the clouds will be very stubborn over northern Indiana especially, and that could include Lafayette. You notice we're right on the edge right now, right? Looks like it might be cloudy up near Monticello, but it's not in Lafayette right now. Rensselaer, it's cloudy, but it's not in Lafayette. You see how we're going to run the day today. Very typical when we see systems exit out like this, especially in the winter. We see a lot of this where the cloud bands come in behind the system, or we get that momentary morning where we're like, oh, look how sunny it is after the snow last night. And 2 hours later, it's cloudy and there's flurries kind of over us. That's the kind of feel of what we're looking at here in the early morning hours throughout most of the state of Indiana, especially northern Indiana. Obviously, it looks pretty nice and high and dry down towards Evansville, heading back over towards St. Louis, and anywhere out in Iowa or Missouri looks really nice today, other than it's going to be chilly. All right, chilly is the mainstay. I think we could come in one more sector. Let's see how close we can get in. All right, look at that. You can. We can get in one more sector. You can see the clouds pretty clearly on here, and you can see those. Now, I also see that the stratiform is eroding on the edges here. Either that or they're running through the wind fields. Maybe they're knocking some of the clouds down. It almost looks like that's what it is, doesn't it? Looks like it's getting caught up in some of the wind fields there as it comes down. Whether that is true or not, it's hard to say. But remember, things on the ground can dictate a little bit of what's happening above the surface, but the farther away from the surface you get, the less you get. That's why you have all that the turbulence really close to the ground a lot of times, and then you'll have turbulence up in the upper atmosphere that the planes and jets will run into. But if you got trees versus no trees, you get more speed with, like, say you're going over Lake Michigan, there's nothing there to stop it, but you're going over hills and trees and bumps and everything, it kind of gets knocked down a little bit, and it gets turbulent, but less wind can run through those areas. So that's how it kind of works out pretty easily to think about that this morning. Let's take a look around the area before we get into the charts. Let's go out to Fowler. Let's get our car count today. There's one today. We're back to one now. So that's 2 consecutive days with a vehicle on the road. What I can see, though, is some of the clouds up on the horizon there. I think this is pointing towards the north to northeast. I think the highway's north to south, right? So that would be to your northeast. And generally, the sun has been over to our right. Most mornings. I don't think it's changed, if I remember right. I don't think it's changed, has it? All right, so let's go back up towards the Rensselaer, up towards where some of the cloud cover might be, all right, this morning. And we take first a look at the bridge. We can kind of see that. Let's even go up one and find there's the construction is going pretty well this morning. Traffic's running through there. No real stops this morning. I can see some sun, but I can also see cloud cover right at the same time. And then I can see a mix of some of the lower clouds you can see there on the horizon with the darker bands a little bit thicker, not allowing as much light through. Here's that great camera around the 231 North Junction, and we can see some of the clouds off on the horizon there too, some of the dark spots in places, a little darker. And a mix of the clouds in Remington. You can see pretty well here at the truck stop that's up there, and the low clouds that are on the horizon, especially off to the north there. So you can kind of see what direction it is. As you look at the camera here at 231 looking the opposite direction, you're not seeing real clouds there hardly at all. And I can't see much of the ground at all at the 231 South Junction there on that camera. All right, so here we are. Now we're at State Road 18, and I believe we are pointing towards the south pretty much on this one. The highway kind of runs through northwest to southeast as it goes through there, so that's almost due south. Sun's over here on the left, and we see lots and lots of blue sky there on State Road 18. Same thing with 43, lots of sunshine, blue skies, looking good. You're not even picking up any of the low clouds seen on the horizon. This is kind of pointing towards the northeast, as it says here. This one is actually right. Actually, northwest is where it's pointed. So this one's got the wrong moniker on it too, right? Because we can tell that the sun is back and to our right, so this is northwest would be like right here. I guess due north would be just over to the right. So it's just one of the, they never get the directions right on them. And then this one is probably pointing towards the northeast. The north at the very least, right? North is about right here, I would think, on this one. So maybe that's northwest again. But we can see some of the clouds on the horizon on the State Road 25 camera looking off towards State Road 43, and we can see them out there on the horizon. But lots of sunshine in Lafayette this morning. State Road 26 looking at somebody's car, trying to see what's going on in there. And then over on State Road 38 looking back towards Indianapolis, we see good traffic and blue skies overhead there, looking pretty good. As you get down towards Frankfort, not a lot of rain there. This puddle did not reappear overnight with the rains down there, so they must not have gotten a ton of rain down towards Frankfort. That puddle has disappeared, or the flooding in the field there that we've been watching for a couple weeks. And we can see some of the clouds back off towards the east here on the Frankfort camera as it looks back towards the east. That one has the right moniker on it where it's facing, at least at the moment. All right, and then the down at the where the truck stop is, where the guys are at the rest area, looks like they're doing pretty good this morning. One more picture. Let's go down to Covington, see if they're still pointing at the bridge. They are, so we don't really get much out of this one, unfortunately. I wanted to see them. And then Lafayette itself, woohoo, look at town, looks good. Just starting to get a hint of some clouds on the horizon up there that we saw on the satellite pretty easily, right? And then let's see, Airport Road, of course, there we go. The airport's still looking at the ground. River Road looks great. Lots of blue skies there. So we're not anything we didn't expect here. We're not seeing anything jumping out at us that we were thinking would be out of the ordinary. You go back to that satellite picture, and we've got that on the money. Should we go check Logansport out real quick on here just to see if we can see some of the clouds in Logansport over there this morning. And we just don't see enough of the sky here. This is a great camera looking down the road. We should get a car count on here too, because there's no cars on here. I could just pick out some of the clouds though. Unfortunately, it just doesn't show enough. During the winter, it shows a bit more because we don't have the leaves. We can pick up a little bit more, right? And then it looks like we got one over the Clarksville one in Kokomo. Doesn't do us very good at all. It's pointed at the ground also. Look at that. All right, so all right, we got to get the folks around there to get everything pointed where it should be. All right, so I can, if I started drawing on here again this morning, right, we could easily kind of take an arc around here like this, right? We can kind of see that that's the flow. That's also about the outer edge of the clouds right now is here. So if it just kind of slowly sinks and then turns as it comes around, we look like a lot of these clouds stay here, and then there's an opening for a bit, and then it may get a little bit more after that, right? Let's see if we can go into the subsector and go out just a little bit more. And you can kind of draw that all the way around the corner, right around the edge right there. And the flow is exactly with that, right? See that? The flow is with that. And that's where that outer edge, where the clouds are. So Crawfordsville might not see much of clouds today. Yeah, Lafayette might see a bit more. Remington may be in the clouds all day today. Look at all the cloud cover that's coming for them, it looks like. And it's just slowly making that arcing turn as the low is exiting out and moving away from Lafayette in the next 24 hours or so. All right, so let's go to the models and see what the models are saying. Well, of course, it's got the front labeled in there pretty good. You can see where the rain is. You can almost draw in a front this time. We can kind of see where the bends are in our isobars, and then we can see where the stationary portion of it is down here, right? So you can draw that in pretty easy. Cold front here, stationary front, then there'd be a warm front to a low there. Big high right here. That we did see, right? We know there's not much for cloud cover out here at all. Looking really good as high pressure is in control. And I suspect we're going to see that for at least 2 days. Let's see what happens with this high. It's going to take 1 day just to come across to us, right? Let's see what happens here. Today looks pretty good. Do we get any sprinkles? We don't. It doesn't really show the sprinkle look to it like it did yesterday. Remember yesterday we were seeing these little green spots all over the place in here? And I only see 1 or 2 here today, so not much to worry about there, at least on that front, just the cloud cover that's persistent, especially north of town. And then as we go through the day today, here we are. Let's go till tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning, this same time frame tomorrow morning, right? The high hasn't moved much. The high is right here. Right? So the high has only moved, a couple 100 miles, 300 miles maybe, tops, depending on where you're going to pinpoint each one of the highs. But it's in a spot tomorrow morning where we're still pulling down cold air, or the coldest of air, and it's going to be almost dead calm underneath the high. So I can see our temperature dropping tomorrow morning pretty easily. And it'll be definitely chilly, and we're going to have to see what those numbers look like when we get into it. There's just not a lot on the chart to worry about here. We're going to be really nice today and tomorrow, it looks like, right? And then we head towards Friday. And this is tomorrow night into Friday, and we have some approaching rain coming in for, this would be early morning. So this is 2 o'clock in the morning on Friday morning. This band is right here. Now, it's banging into this high, right? This high is taking its sweet time, so it's a pretty strong high. That makes me think some of this is going to wash out. We'll see that by the end of the next run coming in, by a half hour from now when that new run is in. We'll see what it says, because this will go out that far. Let's see what the NAM-NEST says about what it does for that same spot. Okay, so here's the timing on it. We can see the high is right here, right? It's pretty close. It's not as robust with the rainfall already as compared to what the HER was showing just a little bit ago. And then let's see what it does over about 12 hours before it stops. It shows a slight chance of some rain early morning hours, like 4 or 5 in the morning Friday. Just that little blip of a shower went by Lafayette. And so I wouldn't worry too much about that. I don't see anything. I see it falling apart as it has to bang into the high. So The high is still roughly right here by that time frame by Friday morning into the afternoon hours, and the system to the north is just falling apart. Most of the rain is here. Something's broken off, but there's very little of it to stay together. This is probably more cloud cover than anything else, because it's had to bang into the high, and the high is here, right? And we say ridging away from the high. The ridging can happen on any side of the high, but in this case, it's going this way, right? You see how it bulges away like a trough, like we think we look for the bulges to draw fronts in there, right? But from highs, we call it ridging, right? And we look for those bulges, and that goes through, and then we put a crazy kind of back and forth line like this. We call that ridging. All right, so that's how that works, because everything up from the high is spinning away from the high, hence nothing in the center, right? If you really think about that, everything in a low, everything is spinning into the low, hence all your moisture is coming in there, all your clouds are trying to come in there, everything is trying to come into the center. Those are just basic ways to think about how highs and lows work and why we have what we have with our atmosphere and the way it is, okay? So there's the front trying to bang into the high, and it's not doing a very good job, as the ridge part is kind of smacking into it, breaking it apart. Maybe it stays together in a few little segments here or there, but it doesn't look like it stays together very good at all on the NAM nest. So let's go back a little bit, back to here where we first saw this, and let's go with 3Z and then change over to the GFS. Now the GFS shows just some blobs of precipitation, right? Much wider band of potential for rain. And the high looks a little farther to the east to me, so maybe it allows, see, it kind of falls apart just as it gets here Friday morning. This would be about what? That'd be about 11 o'clock. Friday afternoon into the right around the noon time frame. It shows a little band of stuff there, but still not much of importance, I would think here. Not much to change our day's forecast when we have something run through pretty rapid like that. But we do see just a little bit of moisture here or there, some showers popping up Friday into Saturday. Nothing organized. There's just not a big organization here. I can see a little something here, kind of going like that, and that would be the cold front up here, the warm front from the other one, and then kind of a stationary boundary, and we're looking west to east right in here. Remember I said that we have to watch out for that, where you can get some showers in one rough area pretty consistently there for a while at times, right? And then we push that out farther and farther, and you can see now I'm out to Sunday. All right, well, hold it, we got to look at Saturday, right? What's this thing say for Saturday? Well, Saturday on this says it's still got rain. I remember that from yesterday. It had pushed it south of us, and by looking at the NAM nest and the NAM, it already looked like it had gone to the east of us at that point. Let's see where we are. Okay, so this is a lot more negative than it was earlier in the week. See, these are showing rain potential. Saturday, there's 11. There's 2 o'clock with some rain potentially on the backside of that low as it goes through. We'll see what happens with that, because we were talking about a good wedding day on Saturday. It doesn't look quite as positive now to me looking at that on that front, all right? And so we go through there Saturday into Sunday. Sunday's kind of a warmer day, it looks like. We're going to get the influx. You can kind of see how a front could be drawn in just like that pretty easily. Another one right here, and an influx of warm air starting to come up, right? And you can kind of see that by the ISO heights right in here, the dashed lines. You can see how they're bulging up towards the north. As the atmosphere gets thicker, it can hold more heat, right? And that's what it does usually. And that's how we get our ISO heights and how we get different things, and we figure out temperatures from that, obviously. So, and I apologize for my voice this morning. First off, I can't hear what's going on. Bill's out there. He's laughing at me. Good morning, Bill. He's probably laughing at me. He's like, I've never heard him so quiet before. And I'm not hearing out of at least one ear, and the other one is not doing much better. So I'm kind of talking soft because I'm not sure where I'm going with my voice. All right, so then we push it out to Tuesday and Wednesday next week. Tuesday afternoon, we see this high another high coming in, right? And but this one's a little bit farther to the north. It's going to allow a lot of rain to go down through Tennessee. Bill's going to have some rough games this week, and then the high kind of builds into us by next Friday. By that time frame, I'm pretty sure we'll have to see what happens then. Looks pretty good. Easily coming through. Saturday next week doesn't look half bad. Sunday, now we're starting to get a big time flow this way now, right? Now we're getting more consistent of the southerly to southwesterly flow coming into us. And we should start picking up some of our temperatures as we get towards May 24th. Now, May 24th, roughly here, would be about 77 degrees for your high and a low of 55. All right, so try to remember those temperatures when we get to them. I've got most of them in my head and written down in spots, so I should be able to let you know. And then the following Monday into Tuesday, it looks a little rainy there with a lot of rain in the forecast. We could use some, that's for sure, up here in Indiana, but right now it looks like it could be setting up right over the top of us towards the end of the period, towards the end of the month, and then a little knockdown of the temperatures towards the last couple days where it gets cold again right at the end of the month, 28, 29 May, where you should be somewhere around 78 and 56 for highs. We'll have to check on that and see where they put us for temperature. So let's change sectors real quick, and then I'm going to change back to the HER here, and let's go look at the temperatures. Let's check the 12Z first. We've got 58% of it in, and I want to see surface temperature. There we go. All right. So here we are this morning. We're consistent. You can see Lafayette. It's showing us 61. This is for this morning. Let's go back to here. And there we are now. That's 9 o'clock this morning, 61. Notice how we kind of just stay there, 61, 60. Then we go back up to 61, 62. We're kind of fighting with a little bit of the cloud cover around, but our winds are straight out of the north, coming right off of the lake. So you're only going to do one or two things with wind coming straight off the lake. You're going to stay cloudy, or you're going to stay chilly. And so probably the and is in there for sure. The or could be just chilly, and you could be clearing out the skies. Let's take a look at that. If you go back to about now, you can kind of see the flow we drew in before, right? Like this, and then like this. But then look what happens by later this afternoon. It's straight down. So as everything moves this way, the northerly winds come straight down off the lake, and then they come straight down into Lafayette. Now, we don't usually get a ton of stuff from the lake. Even we get cloud cover from it, and we get flurries occasionally, a very light accumulation of snow in the winter from the coming off of the lakes because we're too far away, but we do occasionally get that. But we definitely get a temperature change, and that's what we're going to be seeing here. So then you look at this. By this evening, it starts going cold quick. Let's see, there's 2, 3, there's midnight. By midnight, we're down to 47. So there's your low for, what is today? Today is Wednesday, is it not? Yeah, hump day. Okay, so there's Wednesday. Wednesday's low is going to be 40. It's upper 40s, right? Its high is going to be 65, but the high will have come at 1 o'clock this morning, and the low will come at 11 o'clock tonight. So just to give you an idea how the day is kind of crazy. And we're just going to hover somewhere around 60 to 63 this afternoon. And the sun will feel pretty good if you don't have any wind on you. I'm sure of that. And then tomorrow morning, and there it is. It's trying to fight to like 39. I don't see the chances of any frost in northeastern Indiana, but you can see that it could be into Michigan pretty easily. So no frost real potential here, but definitely chilly tomorrow morning with the average low being somewhere around 50. We're going to be about 10, 12 degrees below normal tomorrow morning. And then how much do we rebound tomorrow? Let's see how far out this goes. This still shows a northerly wind in the morning hours tomorrow morning, right? And here we are at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're only at 63, and we still have a northerly wind during that time frame. So we're going to stay pretty chilly there, that's for sure. He said season is over. What are we talking about, the Cubs, or are we talking about weather? So, Cubs lost 3 games in a row. That could be the season's over. Oh, he says it's baseball season's over. Umping, that's probably what he was talking about. I lost track there for a little bit, Bill. You know how that can happen from time to time from different people. All right, so let's see what the NAM Nest says for temperatures. We'll come back to today, this morning, and it shows, here we are hovering around 60s into this afternoon, and then it shows, what's it show at midnight? It shows 45 at midnight tonight. And then does it get a little colder? It does show a little bit colder. Notice there. So it's trying to show us at like 37, and there's a little pocket of 37, 36, 35s in here in different places, depending on where it is. So maybe there's a slight threat. Depends on which model you want to go with. I tend to like to use the HER. Anything that's inside 24 hours to 48 hours, I usually use the HER because it's usually pretty accurate. It's usually really close. And I just have fallen away from the NAM Nest, and the NAM as being as accurate in the early hours because it seems to not be quite as accurate. That's just enough said. So this is 80-90% right. This is 90 to 100% right. The HER when we're in the short time frame, in the 12 to 24 to 36 hour time frame, give or take. All right. So and then so we keep an eye on what's it rebound us to tomorrow. About 66 tomorrow, 66, 67 tomorrow, which was close to what the HER is going to have on it too for tomorrow. Around 65 to 68 would be a good guess. Maybe we scratch out 70, but not with a northerly wind like this, it looks like right now. And then which day's the coldest after the front goes through? The second day, right? But in this case, that would be the second morning. I guess this morning would be the first morning. Tomorrow would be the second morning, technically. That's how that would go through after the front goes through. But still chilly tomorrow morning, which is now Friday morning. I'm looking at Friday morning now at this point. 8 o'clock in the morning, it's at least 45 now. So it's a 5 degrees warmer Friday morning compared to tomorrow morning. And then it rebounds into the afternoon a bit more. Same thing, though. We're only talking mid-60s here at this point, right? The flow, look at this. You got 70s all the way up into Wisconsin, right? You got 80s into the Dakotas, northern Iowa, Minnesota, back off to our west. But we're kind of stuck in the 50s to 60s range right through there during that time frame. So that's kind of how that is looking, at least on the front there. Let's go to the GFS and see what it says. Now, the GFS says 60, and that's mid-morning. Of course, it stops, and then it tops out at about 71 for Friday. So a bit warmer on Friday. Friday's about where we should be, at least real close anyway. We should probably be about 73 for the high on average on the 15th of May. And then we should have a low of right around 50, 51. And what's it going to be Friday morning? Friday morning it'll be chilly still. Friday morning, there you go. You're talking 48, 49, so not too far off from the averages. We're at least getting back closer, and now we're gonna tack in a little bit of warmth there on Friday morning. And what does Saturday look like? Well, Saturday morning looks pretty nice in the morning. In the afternoon, there's those clouds now that they're starting to put into the forecast. We were shooting for like 2 weeks out to see if we could get a good day for a wedding on Saturday, May 16th, and it's not looking quite as close. It's like totally changed from what it was yesterday. Yesterday, it still looked like, well, if I remember right, one model still looked great, and the other one looked awful. Right, so now I'm a little worried about those who are having a wedding on Saturday. We haven't looked at it close enough to worry about it, but if you're having a wedding, it might get wet. All right, so that's Saturday. How about Saturday evening? There you go. When we hit our high, it's going to be around 75 degrees mid-afternoon. Very warm to the north up there near Chicago and in northern Illinois. Up there in that area. And then as we go through the time period and we get into Sunday, what's it look like going to church Sunday morning? 65 degrees. It should be about 52. So above normal Sunday morning, still warm, really warm in the afternoon. Looks like we're going to get back up to about 80 degrees on Sunday. Not bad there. It looks windy. Remember, what's the trade-off usually? Usually it's windy when we get very warm in the spring time frame. And we got a pocket of upper 80s right there near St. Louis, not too far away at all, really. And a pocket of maybe mid 80s on the suburbs of Chicago. All right, now we head to the north. Now we see a lot of warmth, all right? Again, we're not in the 50s or low 50s for our lows. We're now 65 here for a few days as we get into the beginnings of next week. And we're seeing highs now in the 80s, right? And by, let's see, this May 18th, it should be about 75 for a high. Now we're into the low to mid 80s for our highs, and we saw that we were going to change our pattern for a bit, right? Then we get a little reprieve in the middle of next week. Shows a little cooling off. Now, 70 degrees for a high next Tuesday is still not bad at all. It's just about 5 degrees below where we should be for this time of the year. But after starting to get into the 80s, everybody's starting to like the 80s. Even I'm enjoying it a little bit more, as long as it's not humid, right? I guess I'm starting to get old. Yes, I know. No piping in from the choir out there. All right, so Thursday or next Wednesday, it does look chilly that day. There's some kind of frontal system that's going to be hanging across and draping a lot of rain in and out of the area through us, and we have a wind coming out of the north that day. And how long does it take to rebound in the middle of next week? So it's really warm at the beginning of the week, then it cools off, and then how long does it take to rebound? Here I am out to Friday now. Friday's still warm in the mornings, but not warm in the afternoons. Okay, that's close to normal right there. That would be Friday afternoon next week. The 22nd of May should be about 77 for the high. Shows us around 74, 75. So at least we see the trend of starting to get warmer. But the cool hangs on just a little bit there. We're in the 80s on Saturday, and then we're in the 80s again on Sunday, bouncing around. Looks like we're going to be bouncing around some cloud cover and some different showers maybe on that day. And then on Monday, the following to 25th of May, there we go. I got it, I think, that time. 80 degrees on that day, so getting warmer and warmer. But now we're 2 weeks out, and then there's another quick shot of cold. So what am I seeing? I'm not seeing any terrible heat waves. I'm not seeing any terrible cold waves anywhere either. I'm seeing lots of ups and downs, pretty typical for spring, with no big patterns of, hey, we're going to push all this warm air in here. It's going to stay this way. There's a big omega block. It's going to get us, like I've seen on other places. All right, Bill's in with his 8:35 p.m. observation. It's 79% humidity. He's got 68 degrees. Station pressure 30.020, and I would say he's probably on the rise today. That would be definite with the high pressure moving in towards his neck of the woods, which is Tennessee, folks. All right, so there we are this morning, kind of a just a rough idea of what we've been looking at, where we're going with all this. Let's go back to the satellite picture here. Let me get out of this totally off of the screen brush there. You can see where the clouds are still rotating in. A little bit more have come in closer to Lafayette in just the last half hour. Let's go out a little bit farther, back out to the regional sectors, and then we can pick up Tennessee. And look at that, Bill. You still got the front just a little bit to the north of you there, huh? Could be a few more clouds for him today, but generally speaking, I think you're on the men's too, with most of the rain having missed you last night, it looks like. Although maybe some of it did pass through. I don't have the radar that goes out that far right now to see if it did or didn't do that last night. But it did go through us last night and is pressed all the way down to the south. And then so there's just a few of those clouds still hanging off to his west over there towards Little Rock and back over towards OKC and heading that direction. And you can see some of the clouds that are out there and heading towards Tennessee currently slowly. We got a little dive on it here, so I think the high is going to be pressing itself in here over the next couple of days for them too down there. What else? Well, I know he said his season's over, but I felt like the season was over because the Cubs lost again last night. And no, I have not gotten Marquee Network, Billy. So Pastor Billy says as soon as I get Marquee, they'll start losing. No, I have not gotten it yet. So they lost 3 in a row. They did this before. They won 10, lost 3, won 10, lost 3. So let's see what happens if they come out with a 10-game winning streak again here. And they beat Atlanta the last 2 games because they beat San Diego the last 2 games when they were on the West Coast swing out there. All right, so we'll have to see how that works out. They only had 1 hit last night, and they've only had 8 over the last 3 games. Power outage! Look out! 3 games means nothing, as we know. Just as if they had won 3 games, we wouldn't be excited. Okay, yes, we would, but still. Mostly sunny, Bill says it is down there, and yeah, we can see that on the satellite picture pretty good. Let's see what his neck of the woods looks like on a picture real quick. All right, so there's Nashville, and he lives up in here. I'm not going to pinpoint his origins of where he's at right now, but you see there's a little band of clouds just off to your north there, Bill, coming in there. And a little bit of mix of some Q in there, some strata Q. So you see some of it, but it looks like a lot of it's eroding, too, in different edges. I'm not sure how the hills work up in that area and if there's any problems there with that. But you can see some pretty good weather through most of this. This looks like a lot of fair weather Q early in the morning up there in the Nashville area. Back in our neck of the woods again, let's go see if we're seeing any more cars out in Fowler. 1 again, we're still on the 1 count, but we are starting to pick up some Q on the horizon now, which we could see on the satellite picture too pretty easily. And are we picking up any clouds up on the north side? We can see, there we go. Now we're starting to see some up on the north side of Lafayette right now in West Lafayette. As you're looking from the Walmart back up to the north on Sagamore Parkway, right? That's where Cumberland Avenue comes together. It says SW, Southwest, right? That is not Southwest, is it not? That is looking towards the north. I'm pretty positive that's exactly what that's looking at. But I might have my directions off, or I might have all kinds of things. But I can see the sun over here to the right. I can see shadows on the cars to the left. So that would be east over here, not looking to the southwest. That would be looking to the northeast is what I would see on this picture. But in the weather world, we work with fromies usually. So maybe it's from the southwest, the picture from the southwest looking towards the northeast. Bill says no rain. Dead bats, though. Would you find some dead bats? Oh, dead bats for the Cubbies. Yeah. That, or he found some in his barn out there at his house. All right. So because of my throat, normally I would hang on a bit longer this morning. I'm going to go back and look at a couple things here real quick. It's 60 degrees right now, heading back up to maybe only 62 to 64 maybe. We've already seen the high for the day, which was back around 1 this morning, which is like 65. And the low for tonight will be, for today, will be at like 11 o'clock tonight, and it'll be somewhere around 40 degrees. But let's see what we've seen on our long range, and we've seen more of the same. Yesterday, officially, May 12th was above normal. It got all the way to 79. We didn't quite tap 80, but we did get above the 78. And the historical high should be 72 with a low of 49. The daily low was 40. That was yesterday in the morning, was it not? Yes. For them. And then so this is what we're looking at for today. And on here, again, if you've seen this map before, I use this one a lot. The lower dashed line here is your average lows. These are your average highs on the upper dashed line. And then so from here going back, it's everything that's happened since July last year. Right, the last 9 months basically. And then it's got a forecast for the next month using, I'm not sure which model it's using, but it gives you an indication of what it can be. So you can go back to this map, and this is on the MSN's main page if you type in Lafayette, Indiana. And you can see what it's been. It's been rather chilly the last month, almost, only a few days that we've been above normal. So, and we're going to be below normal again today, really. But we did see a lot of ups and downs in March and into April, which is very normal, all these ups and downs. 2 days of warm, 2 days of cold, 2 days of warm, 2 days of cold. We see a lot of that. We're starting to level out already, it seems like, as we head into June and we head into the warmest time of the year, which, of course, is July and into the latter portions of July. Officially, this thing says July 18th, the average daily high is 86. And so 18, 19, 20 right in there is where the high is. And then it starts going down from there, 85, July 23rd. And I've had so many numbers in my head over the years. I kept thinking it was like July 28th or something was the average high. But it looks like somewhere either the historical high is 86 degrees, and it's either the 13th, 14th, or 15th, and then it starts going back down again. By the 20th, it's still there, and then it starts going back down. There you go. 25th, it's down. 24th, it's down. So somewhere right in there. So for about a week, we're in the mid to upper 80s on an average high at 86. But then you see during the winter the opposite, obviously, right? We bottom out somewhere in the end of January with an average daily high of 33. So there you go. And then we get the slow trend up. It gets real fast, and then it slows off during the summer again. So that's what you're going to be seeing, at least on those fronts. And you got a little bit of teaching for you today. All right. So, so I am going to call it a day because the throat is just bothering me pretty good. At least I can't seem to get any sound out. How's that, so to speak? All right. I hope you enjoy your day. Remember, in and out clouds. High is about where it is, only a couple degrees warmer, and enough wind to annoy you, to keep you chilly. So, have a little light jacket on when you go out for sure, for anybody that is out and about. And you enjoy your day. I will see you again here tomorrow at what time? I heard it, 9 o'clock. We'll see you then.